All right, Tina, you want me? I'll go ahead and get started then.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Or
oh,
did
wait.
you want
Okay,
to?
I'm sorry. Welcome, everyone.
There we go.
Yeah. Hey, we got to have the Tina voice. Welcome, everyone, to our second webinar for membership. And I'm just so thrilled, as I always say, to be amongst all these wonderful Kiwanians. And I just pray that we grow with what we're doing with under Prairie's governorship, if that's such a word, and just grow our membership so we can stay alive and be bigger and better and feel better in ourselves as Kiwanians, so that especially when I retire, I'll be able to full force into things too. But anyway, welcome. And this is going to be Mr. Todd as one of our speakers. And I believe Sam, you're the other speaker. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right, I guess that. And so welcome everybody, and let's just get started. I'll let everybody in. Thank you for being here.
Thanks, Tina. I like Tina kicking off the meeting. She's got that passion and enthusiasm, and that's what we need to get started with our membership training tonight. So tonight's a topic a lot of people have asked for. Since we're recording this, we'll definitely get it out to the district, but making the ask, how to invite new members to be a part of Kiwanis. I think it's so important because a lot of us, we love Kiwanis. Kiwanis is a big part of our life, but we're not naturally that good at talking about it. We're not all salespeople, of course. And so sometimes we just have this wonderful thing in our life, but we don't share it with other people as much as we should. So tonight, Sam and I are going to do a little different version of the workshop we did at the district convention, but we're going to start with, and I promise you, we're not going to win any Oscars for our acting here, but we're going to do a little quick role play and show you what happens frequently when you're trying to invite someone to join Kiwanis. So in this such situation, Sam, and by the way, let me introduce Sam. Sam, of course, is my good friend and an amazing Kiwanian. She's a past lieutenant governor in Division 10, and we've been side by side on a lot of membership recruiting activities. And so we've been around the block a few times on this inviting members to join Kiwanis. So this is a scenario that happens quite frequently. Sam and I have experienced this before ourselves. So Sam is recruiting me to be a member of the club. So take it away, Sam.
Yes. Hey, Todd. Thanks for agreeing to speak to me today about Kiwanis.
Hey, no problem, Sam. I'm happy to hear what you have to say.
Great. Well, as you know, I'm a member of my local Kiwanis Club, and I just wanted to share with you the excitement I have in the work of our club. Are you interested in helping children in our community and beyond?
Well, of course, that sounds like really important work.
It is. And doing it with a wonderful group of people makes it even more rewarding and fun.
Well, that sounds great, but how often does the club meet and how much service does the club do?
So we actually meet each week on Tuesdays at noon at the Crown Plaza Hotel. Service projects vary in when they occur and how long they take, but often they're on Saturdays and occasionally during an evening here or there.
Wait a minute, I got to stop you right there. You see, I'm really, really busy right now. I just switched jobs a few months ago. I'm working 50 hours a week. I'm building up my client list, and the competition among all these TV and billboard lawyers are, it's crazy out there. Bless you.
Thank you. I'm coming off of a cold right now. My apologies. All right. Well, Todd, the thing to remember is many of our members are very busy people. And really, that's the type of person we're looking to join our club. You're not required to come to all the meetings, and you can decide which projects you want to participate in.
Well, I appreciate that, Sam, but I'm really just too busy. Perhaps in a year or two or 5 or 10, maybe I'll find the time. But right now, I just don't think it's going to work out for me in the near future.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah, wah. So that's the first scenario. We get that a lot. Now, sometimes that's where the conversation ends with people. And maybe in certain conversations, that's okay. You can't go any further. But other times, maybe there's a way to keep following up and maybe present an opportunity for them, or to phrase things differently, or spin things a little bit in a different way that they see it differently. And it's not going to be a big drag on their time, but it's going to be an opportunity that's something that's going to be very meaningful to them in their life and worth setting aside some time to be a part of Kiwanis. But we'll talk about that later in the presentation. Okay, the next scenario we want to talk about is I'm going to be recruiting Sam, and I've been talking with her already, and now she's interested in joining. So now I'm just trying to get that final, let's get her to join and get her an application. So Sam, I'm glad to hear that you're interested in joining Kiwanis.
Yeah, super excited. I heard there's a thing called dues. Like, how much does that cost?
Well, yes, like most service organizations, there are dues that go to our international organization, the Florida district, and to our club as well.
Mm-hmm. And how much are those dues?
Well, as a new member of our club, your dues for the first year will be $150. And some of that goes to the club. And then after your first year, the dues are set at $280 for the year. But you could pay for your own meals or not, have a meal if you want to, but there's no charge for the meals if you don't eat one.
Well, that's good to know, but I don't really understand why I'd want to join a Kiwanis Club to do service when I can do service on my own and with other organizations that don't cost any money.
Well, yeah, that's true. But one of the great things about being in a Kiwanis Club is the camaraderie and the friendships you make, the positive impact you make helping other people.
Okay.
When I go to do a service project, we have a great time. A lot of us know each other. Maybe we'll meet for coffee or a drink before or after the project.
Okay. And you say this is an international organization?
Yep, we have clubs all over the world, not just here in town.
Well, that's cool. It's impressive and all, but I still don't really see why I need to pay $160 a year or more just to do service. Like that doesn't really make sense to me.
Well, that includes a magazine. I like to use the magazine line because I think that's funny. But here's the rest of the line as well. We have expenses, help cover the dues help cover the expenses of the club, but it pays for our liability insurance for service projects. This is actually a little better answer. And you're not just an individual volunteering on your own, but you're part of a 100-year-old organization that has lots of name recognition in the schools that we work with. We also have a foundation that gives grants back to our local clubs so that we can put that money right back out in the local community. And like they say, there's strength in numbers. So paying dues is how we maintain a worldwide organization. We can do a lot more together than we can do alone. So I gave a little bit of a good explanation at the end, but I still love referencing the magazine. I think we do. I've done that before. Well, you get a magazine. Like people are excited about a magazine these days. So let me share my screen with you. And I've got some slides I want to review that's going to get into a little more detail on this. From beginning. Okay. So many of you have heard me say this before. This is one of my, what I call now a Todd's truism. Number one, 100% of the people you don't ask to join Kiwanis probably will not join. So we've just got to get better at asking people to join. Todd's truism number two, if you've asked everyone you know to join Kiwanis, then it's time to meet some new people. Unfortunately, for a lot of our clubs, their entire social network are the people in the Kiwanis Club. So some of our clubs that are more of our senior members, that maybe the club's getting a little bit smaller and there's less than 10 people in the club, it just turns into a dinner meeting or a breakfast meeting or having lunch together. So those folks have got to get out in the community and meet some more people if they're going to invite other people to be in their club. But this is generally, I think, the takeaway from tonight, and the tip that I would offer to all of us is just look for more opportunities to drop Kiwanis into a conversation in our everyday lives, whether that's work, church, or social events. We just need to talk about Kiwanis more with the people that we encounter in our everyday life. So responding to questions like, Sam, what did you do this weekend?
Oh, not much. Hung out with my family. I did volunteer at the Prince of Peace food pantry where we served over 400 families in need. That was like super fun and rewarding for me.
Wow, 400 families? That sounds awesome.
Absolutely.
So if you tell somebody what you did this weekend and it included the volunteer project that you did with Kiwanis, or the social event you did with Kiwanis, or the fundraiser, or the golf tournament, or whatever it is, you've got to drop that into a conversation with people. Another good example is, so you go to a networking event, right? And everybody always asks at a networking event and sometimes just social events, so what do you do for a living? So Sam, if I ask you, hey, what do you do for a living? You'd say what?
Well, I'm a teacher. I work with Florida Virtual School, but I also spend a lot of time with my local Kiwanis Club. We volunteer and do a lot of projects to help our community. So I'm really passionate about that too.
Yeah, so for me, as an example, that's something I do a lot of networking, lunches, and meetings with new attorneys I've never met before. And almost one of the first things I want to start talking about with them is my involvement in Kiwanis in the community. Because number one, that's an important part of who I am, and I want to share that with people. But also, you never know if someone's going to be interested in doing volunteer work and possibly joining Kiwanis if you don't talk about it yourself. So we've just got to talk about Kiwanis in our everyday conversations a lot more frequently. Now, to help get you ready and prepared to go out in the community and talk with your friends and neighbors, there's some resources at the Kiwanis International website that we're going to reference tonight. So I want to refer you to these so you know where they are. If you go to Kiwanis.org, go to members, and then down here at the club toolbox, there's a whole list of resources that are very useful, and we're going to talk about a couple of those tonight. So how can you prepare, and more importantly, how can you prepare your club members to go out into the community and talk with their friends and neighbors about joining? Well, the first thing you have to do is prepare to talk about Kiwanis, which is knowing your why. We'll get into that more in just a minute. I think it's a great activity to role play and practice doing this at one of your club meetings. It's a very fun exercise you could do. It actually makes a fun activity for a meeting. And it's something Sam and I are going to talk more about how to do that at your club. And then prepare for common objections. A lot of times someone will tell us no, or they'll give us some pushback, and we just immediately stop and we don't ask any more questions. We don't try again. We just say, okay, well, I guess you're not interested. Bye-bye. And then we're going to also talk tonight about the character cards. That's one of the resources at the Kiwanis International website that I just referenced. This is one I think also you can do this at a club activity, at a club meeting as an activity, maybe make it part of the character cards activity we're going to talk about tonight. Have everyone in the club practice this writing down their Kiwanis story, which is in this example, this is a great handout where the club members just write down the answer to a couple of questions. So first of all, what makes your club special? Think about what you love most about your club and then write that down. And then what's your club's community impact? Is there a service project that makes you proud? Is there a person in your group or someone that you've mentored, or your key club or something like that where you've had that great story? What is your Kiwanis story that you want to share with people? Also, just the facts sheet. A lot of people are familiar with that. That's also at the Kiwanis.org website, or the Kiwanis brochure. You can order those for free at the Kiwanis store. They're great to give out to people when you're talking to them. They're also great to learn some things you can say and some talking points about Kiwanis. Good way to practice what you would say to someone just looking at the content in that brochure. And then, of course, this is something that comes easy for a lot of us that are involved in our SLPs, our service leadership programs like Key Club, is to talk about it. Because people, a lot of times they've never heard of Kiwanis, but they've heard of Key Club. So I always ask people, after I ask them, have you heard of Kiwanis? I say, well, have you heard of Key Club? And a lot more people have heard of Key Club than have heard of Kiwanis sometimes. So I mentioned start with why. This is really for you. If you're going to go out and talk about Kiwanis, these are the questions you need to answer for yourself, and then take these answers and memorize them in a 30-second speech, what we also call an elevator speech. And this is what you would tell people when you talk to them about Kiwanis. So number one, answer the question, why are you in Kiwanis? Why did you join Kiwanis? Why is Kiwanis needed or important in your community? Why is your life better because of Kiwanis? And for me, and this is a book that I reference, you guys have heard me talk about this book, Start With Why, many times. And the author says people aren't interested in what you do, they're interested in why you do it. But the world, I promise you, the world right now is a bad place for a lot of people. And if you have a compelling story about why your life is better because you're in Kiwanis, that's something that people are going to gravitate to. And that's going to be a very compelling reason for them to consider joining Kiwanis. Making the ask, this is just very basic human communication stuff. Develop rapport. You don't want to jump right into, hey, would you like to come to my Kiwanis Club meeting? Or, hey, let me tell you about Kiwanis, this group I'm in. You want to have a conversation with someone and let it naturally enter into the conversation. But you do want to talk about Kiwanis. You want to connect Kiwanis to the community. What is the Kiwanis Club's impact on your community? That's something that has value to most people that live in that community, because Kiwanis makes their community better. So you're giving them an opportunity to also be a part of making their community better. So always connect Kiwanis to the community. And hey, here's the number one most important thing that you have to say in that conversation. Would you like to join Kiwanis? So many times, Sam and I were joking about it before the call. We have done this. We have given this great rah-rah speech at a meeting, one of our after hours meetings that we do with 10 guests there. And we give this great impassioned speech about Kiwanis and how great Kiwanis is. And then neither one of us actually asked anyone to join the Kiwanis Club. We just expect them to come up to us and say, oh, that sounds great. I'd love to join. How do I do it? That actually doesn't happen. People need you to ask them, would you like to join the Kiwanis Club? That question is going to help you get more folks in your club. And then always explain the next steps. Yes, we meet on this day, or yes, this is our next service project. And that's probably even better than inviting them to a meeting. Invite them to your upcoming service project. But you got to tell them what the next step is. And then also ask them, especially once they have decided to join, who else do you know? Any of your friends or neighbors that would also like to join us? Ask them for referrals when they're the most excited about joining your club right at the beginning. Ask them who they know that would also like to join. If you're talking to someone who's never heard of Kiwanis, that's great. If they have heard of Kiwanis, ask them how. And then whatever their experience or what they know about Kiwanis, that's a great start to the conversation. And this is where you have to have your Kiwanis story or your elevator speech ready to go. A lot of people, and I use this as an example, Kiwanis is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to improving the world one child and one community at a time. That's great if you've got that memorized and it feels natural to you and you can say it with some enthusiasm and passion and authenticity. But if you're just kind of saying it because it's our slogan and it comes out easy, then you might want to work on your why and why is Kiwanis important to you, and then memorize that as your 30-second elevator speech. So Sam, I know you've got a good Kiwanis story. What do you tell folks?
Yeah, so a lot of times it comes up because I'm a teacher. And so I'll say, yeah, actually, I first got involved when I became the Key Club advisor at Colonial High School. Do you know what Key Club is? It's a service organization for teens. And it really just meant a lot to me. And that's one thing I love about Kiwanis. Kiwanis is an international service organization with an emphasis on children. So we have these service leadership programs at every level of education, and we teach youth the importance of service and leadership while also having a positive impact on the community. And as a teacher, that just means so much to me to be able to work with youth and teach them the importance of service.
And I would imagine that story, the Kiwanis story of yours, is compelling to a lot of people. But if you're talking to other educators, I would imagine that's a great thing to talk to them about. Your story as an educator and why Kiwanis fits with your mission as a teacher.
Yeah, just
why
to
it's
add on
important.
to that, you can have a couple versions because, like, at some of our meetups, we've brought people in from meetup, and a lot of them are like, "Oh, I'm new to the area, so I've just been trying out a few different things." So that's when I'll kind of shift it and be like, I was just really looking for some like-minded people. My group of friends didn't really like volunteering, and it's something I'm passionate about. So since I've joined Kiwanis, I've made some new lifelong friends that have the same values as me. And that's really important to me, to have a circle of people I can share values with. So I kind of have a couple different versions of my Kiwanis speech, depending on who I'm talking to.
Yeah, I think that's a great point too, Sam. We should definitely emphasize that once you get that first Kiwanis story or Kiwanis speech, elevator speech, whatever you want to call it, once you kind of have that down, then start thinking about, well, if you're talking to different types of people, you're going to want to tailor that to them. So for example, a young mom might be looking for different things in Kiwanis than an older 60-year-old attorney might be looking for in Kiwanis. So think about who it is that you're talking to, know your audience, and try to tailor the benefits to that person based on who they are and what they're interested in. Now, how do you know what they're interested in and who they are and what kind of person they are? This is where in the conversation you have to be an active listener. So if this is someone that you don't know that well, then you want to talk to them and find out what their interests are. Do they have kids? Do they have family? Is there anything about them that indicates they've been involved in the community? Do they serve on any nonprofit boards, for example? Are they a member of the Chamber of Commerce? Are they somehow already showing leadership in their community? Then Kiwanis fits right in with that. So listen to what's important to them and explain how Kiwanis can impact and safeguard those things. I've talked with some young parents about their kids play Little League, and it happens to be sponsored by the Kiwanis Club. So that's a great way to say, well, if you believe that Little League is good for your kids, then we need you to be a member of Kiwanis and help support that Little League. But always, again, reminding you one more time, make the ask. You've got to actually invite them to become a member and give them the next steps. And again, ask for referrals. So we're going to talk about some common objections and maybe some responses to those. And then we're going to, in a few minutes, open it up to you to give us some help and feedback and your tips on how you would respond to a couple of common questions or concerns a potential member might have. But how many of you have heard when you've asked somebody to join, I'm too busy? I'm sure everybody would raise their hand on the call. That's probably the number one thing you hear from people. So how often does the club meet? I don't have time to go to meetings. What does Kiwanis expect from me? How much does Kiwanis cost? What are the dues? So these are just a couple of examples. There's a million different answers to this, but let's run through these, Sam. So if somebody says the dues sound like a lot of money, what would your response be?
Well, actually, if you break it down, it's only $12.50 a month. That's less than two venti Starbucks a month, or it's about as much as I spend on my DoorDash subscription.
Yeah, these days everybody's got a subscription for everything, either DoorDash or Netflix or Disney Plus or Hulu or whatever it is. So, and I know this is just an old sales thing, but $12.50 a month sounds a lot better than $150 a year. So just get in the habit of telling people what your dues are monthly. And when you actually get time, when they join and you want to collect payment or whatever, then you can figure out if they're going to pay annually or pay 6 months, or actually if you do have monthly dues, which I encourage you, if you don't, give people an opportunity to pay monthly if that's what they need to do. But $12.50 a month doesn't sound like a whole lot of money, whereas $150 sounds like a lot more than $12.50. I'm too busy with family. This is one I talk to a lot of young families when I use this when they say, well, we're really busy doing a lot of family stuff. And I'm like, well, volunteering as a family is a great way to teach your kids about community service. Is that something you think you'd like to teach your kids? And you got to have to, know who you're talking to. But a lot of families are looking for opportunities to do volunteer work with their kids because they want to teach them the value of giving back. I'm too busy running my business. Well, would you consider being a corporate member and sending a staff member to represent you? So for the business owner, that automatically sounds like, okay, well, wait a minute. I don't have to go to all the meetings, but I'm still going to get the benefit out of supporting the Kiwanis Club and being a good business citizen by supporting my local club. So just think about how you would respond to people when they do give you that objection. Because a lot of times if you, not that you're going to twist their arm, but if you phrase it in a different way or just give them a different point of view or a different way of looking at it, that might change their mind and make them reconsider. Okay. So I showed you the resource link earlier under Club Toolbox. This is something called Character Cards, Sharing Kiwanis with Prospective Members, and Sam is going to walk us through this activity.
Yeah, so this is a great one, and this goes hand in hand with what we were just talking about. So if your club is struggling responding to these types of objections, trying to reach out to new different types of members, these character cards are a great activity that you can do with your club or at a board meeting. So you're sharing Kiwanis with people who have different perspectives on service. So each of these individuals, each of these characters have a different profession, a different age, a different concern or objection about Kiwanis, and then you actually role play with the members of your club to see how can we come up with responses for this. Does our club accommodate these kind of people? Like, that's a question you have to ask yourself in the back of your mind too. So Todd, if you go to the next page, so this is what you would do with either with your club members, your membership committee, your board. So during an upcoming meeting, you're going to divide your club members into small groups. There are 7 character cards, I think. So you can either do 7 groups, or if you're smaller, you could each divvy up 2 cards here, 3 cards there. So you're going to give each group 5 to 10 minutes to role play. So one takes on the role of the character and one takes on the role of a Kiwanian. Bring the groups back together and have each group introduce their prospective member character and how they would approach that individual for membership. Once the group has explained its approach, ask other members to give additional ideas on talking to that community member. And if you need to create fewer than 7 groups, of course, you can give them each more cards. So this goes along with what we were saying, how you might want to have more than one Kiwanis story. You need to have more than one approach depending on who you're approaching. So let's look at our first character card. So the first person we're choosing, because we feel like a lot of clubs are kind of struggling maybe with that young professional millennial. So this character is Linda Williams. She's 35. She's a middle school teacher. Linda is a local middle school teacher. She loves gardening and has started a local community garden on a vacant lot that the school corporation now owns. She's passionate about her students and getting them the best education possible. She's always looking for opportunities to make a difference in their lives, especially some of her less fortunate students. She is also aware that she tends to overcommit. What teacher doesn't? So common objections you might get from someone like Linda. Well, there's no one in my age group in your Kiwanis Club, right? So they're going to be concerned that they might be one of the younger members, might not have many people to get along with. But also, as a teacher, I have no money for dues and what other costs associated with being a member might entail. So think about this for just a second, and then we're going to ask, I know there's only a couple of you in here, but if someone would love to take the mic or to type in the chat, what are some ways we could respond to Linda's objections or concerns? I'll give you guys a second to think about it.
I know Rose or Daryl have ideas. So let's start with the first one. I think is that, you know, I'm concerned there's no one my age in the club. How would you try to get around that concern of a younger potential member?
Our club ranges everywhere from a 22-year-old to a 72-year-old. So you fit right in.
But what if your club only had older members?
I'm in another club that has that situation. That's really great. We need young members like you to breathe life into our club. You'd be surprised how well you'll get along with some of these folks. Even though they're older, they have great young minds, and they really need young people there with them.
Great.
Tina, do you have something, Tina?
Yeah, I love Rose already. I also would add to that that I'd inspire the younger person that's wanting to join in the club to say that you can lay down a foundation for something very new, you know, to help us to bring in the younger generation, because we need to have younger people in our club. And I would help her to give her ideas and suggestions as to how we can get younger people in, such an example as Key Club. Invite the Key Clubbers from a few of your schools with their family members who are younger adults, you know, and invite them to one of your club meetings. Do something if you can afford, or maybe pay for some of the kids, you know, dinners or whatever, breakfast or lunch, you know, and you can have all kinds of fun things. Invite them to other things, social clubs that we do. We've done that before. We didn't have a great attendance, but letting the person know, letting the younger generation Kiwanian wannabe know that they could be part of something that can grow. And they could, when you're a part of something like that, it just inspires other people also. So I just think we need to kind of give them a pathway to come into our club. And even though they're all older, because we also, Rose, our club has no one under the age of 65 probably. So that's what I would suggest, just kind of giving them ideas of what they could do and how important they would be, to give them recognition for that.
Daryl, did you have an idea?
You know, I do. I tend to be very upfront and say, we are trying to grow our club with newer members, and we'd love for you to join us because service is the same no matter what age you are, and please bring your friends. So I tend to be upfront with them. We do have some younger people in our club, but it is a real objection. I mean, it is a real concern for a lot of our younger people. So I'm just very upfront with them and just say, we're building, we're rebuilding, and we need you. We need you. And then I look them in the eyes and
yeah,
I think
those
that's
are some great ideas.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think encouraging them to invite their friends, you know, hey, you're a teacher. We would love to have a cohort of young teachers. Teachers make the best volunteers. Like, why don't we invite them all out for a happy hour together? You know, first round of drinks on us and we can all talk about Kiwanis, you know? You also need to make sure you're accommodating a young teacher, right? So if you only meet for breakfast or lunch, right? Well, what would you be willing to do? What could you pay per month? Would you be interested in like a teacher discount or something? So like we got to also work with them too, ask questions.
Yeah, and I think also though, for those clubs that are older members and having a hard time attracting younger members, they've got to start with former Key Clubbers or CKI members or recently graduated CKI members, because we learned this in we did an intergeneration workshop at Decon, and our Gen Z and our millennial both told us that they may not have joined their Kiwanis Club if they hadn't have grown up in the Kiwanis family. They were both Key Clubbers and CKI, and they were being quite honest about that. That the Gen Z, she's like 22 years old when she joined Kiwanis, and she said, I don't think I would have joined my particular club unless I had been in Key Club before. In that particular situation, that club did something really interesting as well. The leadership of the club, they went and recruited a couple of former Key Clubbers and said, we've got lots of money in our foundation. We want to give you and designate $2,000 in a budget for whatever service project you want the club to do, and we'll back you up and support you on that. And those young new members were like, well, that's pretty amazing. This club is going to, invest in us and empower us to go do a service project that we want with that kind of money. And that's how they got several new younger members that were all former Key Clubbers. Mm-hmm. What was the next one, Sam? What was it? I can't afford no money.
Yes, I can't afford your dues or whatever associated costs would be. So how do you guys talk to people who are maybe concerned about the dues payment situation?
Well, this would be a special case, but I would absolutely say, have you heard of Builders Club? Because what we do, I don't know if every club does this, but when we have a faculty sponsor, they're a member with no charge. So that's one of the ways we add new members is when we start a new SLP, we then ask the faculty sponsor to join us. So for me, that would be an easy one. For you, there will be no costs. But that's an easy peasy one for me. So
yeah, because it depends on your club's financial situation.
And then you'd have another SLP member, or another SLP for your club, which is a great get.
Yeah, but Rose, you're getting at what is the heart of this issue, though, for a lot of people. It's not the response to the objection or what you would say to convince them to pay $280 a year.
Sorry.
If that's what the dues are for your club, that means your club has got to figure out how to have a lower due structure for especially younger members, right? Like what you're doing with like a Builders Club advisor. Yes, Daryl.
We just lost a teacher, not because of dues, but because of she said she just didn't have time for the club. And our Kiwanis advisor talked to her. I talked to her and said, please, you just give of what time you have. Now, thankfully, she stayed as a Builders Club. But I had also somebody else talk about, oh, the dues are so high. I did break it down. Now, this was somebody within our club already. And this is funny. I said, $15 a month is not, these are friends of mine. Then I found out that what she was spending for jazzercise a month. And the husband went, what? I mean, there are going to be times when you just have to mark it off and go on. I mean, I hate to say that, but it's a numbers game. And if they don't have the money, they don't have the money, or they don't want to, people spend it on what they want to spend it on. But I think just what Samantha said about breaking it down, we have quarterly options.
Allowing them to pay in increments is a nice option.
Right. And so we let them know that. I think just what Samantha said, when you break it down to monthly, it's not that bad. It's not that bad. So one of our committee members says, I equate it with a glass of wine, what that would cost me. So, it's not that bad. But some of these
one less glass of mid-price wine at dinner a month,
Yeah. So I think that's the best way to do it. I mean, sometimes what do you do if they're not willing to spend $12 or $15?
Right.
Well, it's harder for clubs that include the meal in their dues because that quickly racks
Clubs
up
need
the
to stop
price.
doing
Very much so.
that.
Yeah, and it just makes it so
That's in the
expensive.
past.
Yeah, I've said before that some of our clubs are not in the Kiwanis business, they're in the restaurant business because they're selling meals to
We're
people
offering
instead
a
of
tiered membership. Like when we
right.
first started our satellite club, we were charging for lunch. As a teacher, I wasn't going to the lunch meetings, so they offered me a lower dues
Mhm.
payment because I was a teacher, I was a young professional, I wasn't going to the lunch meetings, I was only going once a month, you know. So we have two tiered dues structures. I know a lot of clubs do that as well. And then yeah, offering the monthly payments. Dylan does a great thing with his give back site where he does offer an automatic monthly payment. And a lot of Gen Z and millennials, like half the things I pay for, it's an automatic payment. So if I can just click a button, make it simple for myself, take out that $10, $15 a month, I'm good. So you got to make it easy for them too, you know, especially teachers, their brains are like so frazzled. But if you're like, we can set you up on an auto monthly payment, you know, let us
That's a
know
real
what
good
day.
idea.
I'm sure you can even figure out what day to base it around their paycheck, you know. So there's lots of ways with technology to make it easier for them to pay as well.
It's really important. I talk about that a lot, that you got to make it easier to be a member, not harder. And for younger members, if you make it like it's a bill, they got to go pay their bill. I mean, most
They gotta
people
write a
hate,
check.
yeah, got to write a check. They don't even have a checkbook. Most people hate that activity of having to sit down and write bills or deal with that monthly. So just don't make it a whole back and forth with an invoice and trying to get it paid. Just if you can set up some type of technology to take credit card payments and set it up for auto pay, that is really,
I'm
really the way
working
to go.
with the club right now, actually not even in my division, where the treasurer has refused to take
Oh,
electronic payments.
I
They
was
have never
talking to
done it.
that guy last night. He called me. The president called me. Oh yeah,
Yeah,
because you're Rose Ledbetter.
yes, I am.
Hello. Okay.
Hello.
I just made that
So
connection.
I've offered every bit of help I can. He's so stubborn. I don't know that
They
he'll
don't
do it,
take
but we're going to
digital
get them
payments at
set up. We're going to
all.
get it set up with
I
givebacks. We're going to get them a Stripe account. We're going
yeah.
to let them be able to have a donate button. We're going to let people be able to pay their dues electronically, and it's going to make a huge difference for them.
Mhm.
It's
That
just
that
ridiculous. You
it,
can't
it
be that way anymore. You can't make everybody write a check.
it doesn't work. It won't work, and people would just not be a member if they had to write a check sometimes. Because number one, they don't have any checks, so it's like a whole hassle. How do I pay you to be a
Yeah, you're
member?
like,
Then it's like,
Sam, where's your checkbook? I'd be
and
like,
and then what does that say about the organization if the organization can't take a credit card payment online? That's the other thing. If you're trying to get a younger member, but you can't take a credit card payment, they're going to say, well, this organization is way too outdated for me anyway. I don't think I can
right.
be a member of this
And how do you
organization.
run a successful fundraiser?
Right. A lot of reasons to
That's not the
work on
topic. I'm
that.
sorry.
For sure.
Yeah,
One, I
hopefully we
did
can.
want to mention one other thing Dylan does, since we're talking about the dues issue, which is important, especially for younger members. They do a corporate
Yes.
sponsorship where the corporate sponsor pays maybe $300, and half of that covers their corporate member dues, and half of it sponsors the dues of another member. And Dylan's club typically will do that for a first responder.
Like they have a
So,
wait list, or teachers. They have a
right,
huge
or
teacher group.
teachers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
our club is going to start doing that, I believe, with our new president, Vadim and
Does
Schiller.
anybody know where are there certain forms for doing that? I was at an installation on Tuesday and they came up to me and said, oh, Tommy Mills said you could get me the forms for a corporate member. And I was like, duh, I had no idea.
yeah, there's no specific form for
I think
corporate
there's a
member.
checkbox on the
It's just a
application.
checkbox on the application that
Okay.
you're checking off as a corporate member. That's the only difference. But you can take the corporate member idea and turn it into something a little bit different by doing a corporate sponsorship of whatever. So in Dylan's club, it's a corporate sponsorship of another member that's a first responder or teacher. We
Oh,
just did one in the Apopka Kiwanis Club where we sold a corporate member sponsorship of $300 to sponsor a terrific kids program. So that corporation, it was actually an insurance agent. They joined the club for $300. So we'll pay their dues. And then the balance of that we'll use to sponsor a terrific kids program. So we'll put their business name on the banner. We'll put some of their stuff in the gift bags we give to kids, or tell the parents at the award ceremony, this is sponsored by so-and-so insurance agency. So there's obviously lots of creative ways to do it. And you get a new member out of that, but also sponsored a terrific kids program. Okay, Sam, let's move on to the next card.
I don't know what happened to your screen.
I'm going to get it back for you.
Okay. Next card, Nick. So this guy is a little older. He's 55 and he's a small business owner and he's already very active in his community. So he's divorced but has lots of friends. He's owned the local hardware store for the past 15 years after taking over from his father. He currently already volunteers for Habitat for Humanity, his university's alumni association, and his church. He volunteers at least 10 hours a month already. And I think that's where I'm running into a problem with some of our meetup volunteers because they're already volunteering at Second Harvest. They're already volunteering at Prince of Peace. How can we transition those volunteers into members? So why should I pay dues to join Kiwanis when I can do service without paying for membership? So how would you guys respond to someone like that? Why should I pay dues? Let's think for a minute.
Because you can do so many bigger and better things when you pool your resources. While you can go and do one thing for a day, we are supplying a book a month for 36 children in an early learning center, and I could never do that on my own. Every kid, underprivileged child at this center gets a book, and their parent gets a workbook that goes with it to help them read to the child, and they get a book a year, a book a month, every month. And these are children who previously never even owned a book.
Yeah.
Couldn't
I
do
love
that on
you
my
have
own.
a
But when I
specific
joined
example to
Kiwanis,
share.
yeah, when I joined Kiwanis, we could pool our resources, and I can do things I never dreamed I could for children.
Rose, you're so passionate. I love your passion, but I wanted to also add with her, it's just a rosy night tonight. This person, whoever James Miller, whatever the name was, that does 10 hours a month or a week, whatever. I don't care if he did a day. What they don't realize is exactly where Rose is kind of leaning towards. He does not realize what Kiwanis truly is. You have to look at the bigger picture. It's not about just volunteerism. It's not about paying dues. It's about what you're doing as far as service projects, as meeting, greeting people, bringing people in, helping others around your community, getting more involved with these other things. It's not about, just because, listen, I volunteer for Kiwanis, right? We all do, right? I volunteer in the Calendar Girls, 18 years doing that, but I don't do it and I pay money or dues because it's that important to me. Because of the end result and the main goal is, what are we doing it for? Why are we volunteering for any organization? What are the reasons why? What do you feel about that organization, what they're doing? So I don't know. And the Calendar Girls, our charity is the Southeastern Guide Dog School in Bradenton, Florida, Palmetto, I mean, and that's for veterans that come back from any war, visually impaired, or needs a gifted canine, and we're up to our 31 naming of the dog. So that's why I volunteer and pay my dues when I have to pay for customs, whatever, so it's not about the money. It's about what the actual organization, what their whole image and dream is really all about. So.
Yeah. And I've noticed now that I'm president and kind of really can see more of what our club does behind the scenes, I'm better able to answer that question for people. Like, I'll be like, so yeah, I used to volunteer all the time too, but me, myself, and I could not have helped Next Step purchase a $6,700 equipment for their young disabled children, right? But through Kiwanis and the foundation, we were able to apply for a grant, right? Or my sister works at a school for pregnant teens and moms. Me, myself, and I could not afford to buy them hundreds of dollars worth of diapers and formula when the girls ran out of their WIC stamps or whatever. But because I had my Kiwanis connections, we were all able to come together and do that. So that's what I'll say is, like, whatever you're passionate about, we can take it to the next level. Oh, you love Habitat for Humanity? I can get you 20 volunteers and we can do a sponsorship and we can sponsor a whole house for you. So I like to, again, focus on, as a bigger, larger group with access to funding, we can do so much more for the things you're passionate about.
Yeah, and just specifically here in this example with James, I might think about, and obviously it depends on the conversation that you're having with him, but if he owns a small local hardware store, maybe he's interested in networking, or maybe he wants to make some business connections with people that might be in your club. For example, our club has a general contractor in the club. So, maybe there's a good business connection for him as well. I mean, we shouldn't, just disregard any potential opportunity for people in Kiwanis to do business together and to help each other. So there might be an opportunity there to make a connection. Or if he really likes Habitat for Humanity, like you said, Sam, I love that idea. Well, we in our Kiwanis Club, we do volunteer work. We are always looking for new projects. We'd love to come do a Habitat for Humanity build with you. So make it about his project and what he's interested in. So yeah, it depends on the person you're talking to and finding what is that thing for them that would be something that would help them connect with Kiwanis. Anybody else have any other ideas?
Just real
Daryl?
quick, I found the corporate membership brochure. It's free.
Okay.
Pack of
It is
25
free.
on the Kiwanis
Yeah,
store. I
but-
put the link in the chat.
All right,
Thanks.
great. Thank you, Rose. Yes,
And
Daryl.
that is
So
actually
what they
Rose,
say is if you
mentioned
want
that.
something.
I
Oh,
was gonna
sorry.
say there's a lot of resources on. I thought you could only get the main Kiwanis brochure for free, but there's like 3 or 4 different things they'll send you for free, like the little SLP placards too. Just FYI, go look at that because you can get like 3 or 4 different things, promotional materials for free.
So, they say if you want something done, ask a busy person. And for this James, I'd say, well, you're perfect for our club because you love service. And that's what we want, our service-minded people. And I emphasize the fellowship, the networking, the camaraderie of doing it all together. But I would play on the fact that he does so much stuff. And I'd say, and you could do even more.
I like it. That's
that you
great.
could do
Yeah.
more. Exactly. Think about how much more you could be doing.
I love it.
So this was a great conversation. So this is what we would love to see our clubs all over the district do, which is to either at a regular club meeting or set a special meeting just to practice or talk about membership. Hey, maybe you even want to do, which I think is a fantastic idea, is a membership retreat. I know because I've been to several of them. Daryl's club, East Orange County, would typically do a fantastic annual retreat where they would plan the activities of their club for the upcoming year, do a membership retreat and set a special event or a social that you're going to get all your club members together. Might be easier to do it at a regular club meeting, but practice your asking people to join Kiwanis and see what that helps you do. Maybe a good time to plan your open house or start talking about your 2-for-2 recruiting program, which all of these things we talked about tonight are going to help you with your 2-for-2 recruiting program as well. And of course, we've been talking about developing a written membership plan for your club, and we'll be talking about that more in the future. So break out into groups and pretend that you're trying to recruit someone to join Kiwanis and take turns and then have a conversation just like we did tonight about how would you talk to certain people in certain situations. Also, we're always encouraging more folks to join the membership team. So if you can click the QR code there or go to the link that you see on the left side of the page. This is not just to be a part of the membership team, but if your club needs help in membership, if you want us to come and do a presentation for your club, or if you want to request a club boost for your club and get a little help from the district team to grow your club, please go to this link and fill out the information at the form at the link, and we will be in touch with you and help you any way that we can. And of course, if you need to get in touch with Sam or I, there is our contact information. Did
And
anybody
Rose,
have any questions?
And Todd, Rose and Daryl, are you guys a part of the district chair, the team already? Well, you
Don't
should
think
be.
so.
Rose is
part
a
of the-
lieutenant governor.
Yeah, that's
Lieutenant
right.
Governor, I'm a secretary of one club and a treasurer of
Daryl?
another.
Well,
Daryl,
listen,
so-
you're
Club
already doing all
treasurer.
those things. Just go ahead and add one more. Just come on board, and do that.
Yeah.
Because the way you
I can do
choose-
so much more.
That's-
I'm division right now and
Yeah.
club membership chair.
Just a thought, just think about it. I
Yeah, I
definitely,
appreciate it.
We have our 3 in our division already, so.
yeah.
So I do have a question. All the types of payment options that you were talking about, is there a list or is that in the treasurer's handbook that talks about all those options, the new way? Because I know we do Venmo, we do PayPal, but I thought somebody
it's up
else
to each
mentioned,
club. I
Rose,
don't
did you
think-
mention something else?
I don't think the district, right, Todd? Correct me if I'm
We-
wrong. I don't think they have like a list of all the ways you can
No.
pay. I think these are just ideas and things different clubs have come up with and we've all been sharing.
It's a great idea for another workshop or training, or even just a quick recording we could do, just a short 10-15 minute, here are your options. Here's how you sign up for
How to
it.
set them up. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a good one to do. I
Especially for
think
some of the clubs
Daryl,
that are older and stuck in the past, they probably don't even know where to start,
Right.
know?
Mm,
Daryl, I think maybe you might have heard Rose mention give backs. Is that what you're referring to? Dylan,
Yes.
that's through Dylan Calkhurst, which is basically a website or a platform online that you can set up for fundraising or collecting
I'm
club
a
dues.
huge fan
They'll
of
set it up
givebacks,
for
and
you.
it's going to replace so many things you pay for right now. It's going to be a website for you. It's WYSIWYG, easy to use, which means what you see is what you get. It's going to replace what you use as a platform like Square. You can run events, you can run raffles, you can do registrations, can do a sign up list, sign up sheets. You can handle membership. It's going to handle if you use like MailChimp or some other email management, it's going to do that for you too.
And they're offering it to us for free. Like, and
It's all for
they'll
free.
hook you up with one
All
of
of
their
it's for free.
salespeople, and like they set it up for you if you make it like an appointment with them.
They
I'd
set
like
it
to-
up, but you have a word to the wise. It takes a little bit of work to get your membership entered.
Yeah.
Right.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
Daryl.
No, I appreciate all that information because while I am not treasurer or president, I would like to pass this on because we do take payments over line, but I don't think we have anything that's auto. I think that would be very helpful. And we've had a little bit of problems with email invoices going out and somebody saying I already paid, or what does this mean? Because it's being generated through QuickBooks, I think. So I like the idea of this. I think it would sounds like it would give a cleaner look
Mhm,
and options to our members and our young ones.
mhm.
Yeah, I went to both of Dylan's presentations at DCon and was like, I
Yeah.
already knew quite a bit about it, but I was very impressed by it. And I like texted Todd during the session. I was like, are we gonna do give backs? And he was like, yeah, we're gonna. I was like,
Okay, so that
Um,
is a Kiwanis perk. I mean,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
okay.
Give backs is, yeah, they're partnering with Florida Kiwanis this year as one of our partners. So Prairie's very connected with that. It was Prairie's idea to bring Dylan in to offer that to us. So Prairie knows all about it if you want to ask her, Daryl.
I will, and she may have already talked to our treasurer, but I think it sounds great. I'll take it back.
Great. I did
think
want to
Tina-
mention before we wrap up, and then I'm going to turn it over to Tina. We have a membership call on Monday for anyone that is available. That will be recorded, but we're doing a little bit different this Monday. We're doing at 5:30 p.m. the club membership chairs. So we're presenting to them some ideas, and basically, Daryl, just like you did on our lieutenant governor, on our DCM the other night, kind of giving them what we want them to be working on. And then at 6 o'clock, we're going to do a training for our zone chairs and division chairs for club strengthening.
Which is great.
So that's the plan for Monday.
6:30, or would it be 5:30 to 7?
5:30 to 6:30. We're going to try to keep both of those just
Okay.
to 30 minutes. And they'll be
Yeah.
recorded, and I'll send out the link. So if you can't attend, you can go watch replay if you're disciplined enough to do so.
Todd, are you going to send out the link? No, I sent out that link already. Are you going to send it out yourself to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. What I want to share real quick, first of all, Sam, thank you very much for being on this with us. And by the way, I love your hair in a bun. You look like you're from the 30s or 40s, and you not that you're that old. Let me rephrase this. You look very young, but beautiful like that. So just
My go-to look.
I love that with the glasses. I mean, you're a teacher. I'm an educator also, so I get it. And Daryl and Rose, you really need to think about you both have such great passion. And Rose, I see more you an administrative kind of thing, because I could read people within 5 minutes of meeting you. And Daryl, you're just like me. You're black and white, just bam, get right into it. So Grant Williams, I see you there, but I don't know who you are. You didn't put your division or who you are. So thank you for being here. But can you tell us what division you're from and what you do, sir? If it's a sir. Grant, you there? We have a phantom. Carla, as always, thank you.
Thank you. This was a
And
good
here
meeting,
comes,
always.
Looks like, oh, that's Sam. I want to share something with you. I was pulling through the books here, 2 things. This one thing at Decon I got measuring member satisfaction. It's an achieving club excellence. It's a survey, which is
Excellent.
fantastic. Membership satisfaction survey, just real quick. This survey will help club leaders evaluate how effectively the club is meeting members' expectations. It can help improve club operations, increasing the club's service impact and visibility in the community. And maybe that's something you can do for Monday for the club things, club chairs and all that stuff. Lastly, the next webinar that we are having is on November 2nd. Todd, you correct me if I'm wrong. I wrote them all down last time.
That's the first Thursday, right? As long as that's the first Thursday.
Yep. And we have a choice that Todd and I will talk about, but I've been really dying to get into how to appeal to younger generations, because that's what we kind of talked a little bit about tonight. But I'm thinking that if we put that out there about how to appeal to younger generations, we'll get even more people on this webinar Zoom, because I know that so many of us have issues with that. But there's also, we had talked about hosting an open house or volunteer day and growing under charter strength, because we did the others. So Todd, you and I have to think of other topics, because we have a whole year now, because we started earlier. So.
Oh, I did. Yeah, I did want to mention too, I think it went out in the email that Tina sent out about tonight's meeting, that Kiwanis International is doing a monthly training on club opening or club coaching, also 2 for 2. They're offering membership topics all year long as well. So we got lots of opportunities for membership education.
Yeah. And then Dawn, there you are. I see the pretty picture of her, Dawn Division 26. Thank you for being on here. Do you want to share anything before we go?
Hi, good evening. I just came back from a cruise and I have COVID, so.
Oh, feel better. Oh, you were on that cruise ship that they all got it. Oh God.
No, I just came back on Sunday and I didn't have any symptoms. I just had the little sniffles Sunday, and I was going to the dentist on Monday, so I took the test.
Take better.
And it was positive for COVID, not the flu.
You just get better. And Grant,
I'm doing okay.
Whoever you are, Grant, thank you for being here.
Grant was a big supporter and helped for me when I was governor 5 years ago, and I went up there. And Grant, just so you know, I was going to go grab it, but I'm not going to grab it. But it's right here on my bookcase, a Rocky Bayou Kiwanis cap. So Grant started the Rocky Bayou Club 5 years ago, so I spent a lot of time up there.
Yeah.
So thanks for being here, Grant.
Yeah.
Todd, can you post a link to your little membership, whatever, or just add me to your email list?
I'll add you to my email list. And you want the link for the meeting?
Yeah, like I want to know when your meetings and webinar or the emails that Tina sends out, like I want to be reminded.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't want to officially be in anything.
And Prairie wanted to know if it's the same link that you send out, Todd. She said she tried to reach you today.
Yeah, I got in touch with her about it.
Is it the same link?
So there's a link for this webinar that's going to be the same link every month.
Okay.
And then the link for the meeting is different. The Monday calls, that's a different link, but it's the same every monthly call.
Okay. And if you see on the chat, Grant actually is a live person there. He wrote, when Todd was governor, he helped to create Rocky Bayou Kiwanis. So thank you, Grant. Thank you. All right, you guys. Yes,
Todd and Tina, can I say one thing real quick?
Yeah.
In reading that template for the development plan, which I just submitted to my club board for their review and approval, a couple of the items that sort of really grabbed me was making membership, recruitment and retention a part of the culture of the club. And that's what I'm really looking for, is how we can make it fun. I told my club, we're going to make this fun. I don't really know how to do that, but we're going to make it fun. when I was president, I did a survey before I came in. I said, name the things that you think our club needs. More passionate members. And so the next question was, give me 2 names. I'll contact them. Oh, I don't know anybody. And so we have to break that, that wall. And so that's what I'm hoping to get more of. All the information has been wonderful. I've been writing down notes, but I think if we can, that just stuck with me as far as making it part of the culture. And I'm not quite sure how I do that yet.
Well, if anybody has ideas on that, I'm open to all suggestions and ideas. That's something that I'm studying a lot, Daryl, and working on that. And I don't know that that's something that we just do a training on, right?
I know.
It's a big structural organizational issue of changing our culture, but we must change our membership culture. And just while I'm on a soapbox for a second, we've also got to change the culture about this reluctance to open new clubs. I get it. I know we've got to work on the clubs that we have, but I promise you, we've got to do both. And so we've got a lot of things we got to work on culturally, especially in our district, because other districts are doing better than we are. They're not necessarily growing at a fast rate, but they've got more of a membership infrastructure in place, and we got to do better.
Yep.
Todd, at my installations, I tell people I was one of those people who was convinced that we should stop opening new clubs. We're not focused on it and focus on building the clubs we have, but that something Prairie did at one of our lieutenant governor's meeting changed my mind. She put all the address of all the club meetings into Google Maps, pulled the map up, showed the dots, and then zoomed in and showed us all the places that don't have a Kiwanis Club.
Right.
All the rural areas with the biggest needs don't have a Kiwanis Club. And then I tell them, do you guys know what the poorest zip code in the state is? And nobody ever knows. It's 32304. And you know where you can see it from? The observation deck at the state capitol.
Oh, wow.
In the shadow of the state capitol. And there's no Kiwanis Club there. Now, if that's not a need for a new club, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
And anybody in any division can focus on someplace in their division that doesn't have a club that has a great need. And I think it's a great selling point for, hey, we need new clubs.
That's great, Rose. I'm so glad to hear that. And I agree. I think I've heard Prairie say that, and it's awesome. I love that map too. Maybe we need to share that out with more people too. I've also heard Prairie say, which I thought this was a great comeback to somebody. She said, well, if there's a high school there that doesn't have a key club and there's not a Kiwanis Club nearby, that's a place that we could open a Kiwanis Club.
Yeah, great.
And I love that too. So, yep. So it's all the stuff is just limitations that we're creating for ourselves, and there really are no limitations. We just have to,
but we're addressing it. So that's right. We're addressing it. And so I think that's fabulous.
We're finally talking about it and doing something about it.
Well, we are, and we're going to have, I hope, I'm leaving for a couple of weeks, but we've scheduled an open house and we're going to combine it with the service project. And that is all because of Todd and Tina, you putting the word out there that you want us all to have a plan in open houses. So
Yep.
That's awesome. Great.
It is.
And I want to hear how it goes. Keep us posted.
I will.
Hey, everybody, thank you so much for your commitment to Kiwanis and membership and being here tonight. Thank you, Sam, for co-presenting with me. And Tina, thank you for being our MC tonight and kicking us off and keeping us all in line here. And everybody, have a great night. Appreciate everybody. We'll see you later.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye.
November 2nd.
Thanks for all of this, guys.
You
Yes,
too.